Hey, ¿qué pasa, Mufasa? It's Brandon back with another video. So if you clicked on this video, then you are probably on the fence about purchasing the Sony A7 III here in 2021. So currently you can find the Sony A7 III on eBay for about $1,000 to $1,500 used. This is a steal, especially if you're looking to get into the full frame Sony ecosystem. This question comes up is because this camera is now 3 years old. It was released back in 2018. So now you're kind of wondering, is this gonna be a good buy? Should I wait for maybe the Sony A7 IV? All these questions should be answered in this video. So let's get started. Now the idea for this video came out because I'm selling my Sony A7 III to my buddy Max. The Sony A7 III has been my main wedding photography camera. But with that being said, I am purchasing another used Sony A7 III. Now, this might seem confusing, but I hope that already answers your question as to whether or not you should purchase the A7 III in 2021. Obviously, that answer is yes if I'm buying another Sony A7 III. But I want to talk about the specs real quick, the pros and cons about the camera, and see if it's going to be something right for you or if you should wait for a new camera release. So we have to talk about the reliability of this camera. This camera is built well. Now, if you talk to anybody that second shoots weddings with me, they will attest to the fact that I do not treat my cameras nicely. I don't baby them at all. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, how well do I treat my camera gear?
Like a -5 for sure.
As a matter of fact, I've dropped the Sony A7 III in 2 instances where I can remember. One was off of a tripod. My son knocked the camera down off the tripod and it hit the ground and actually cracked the screen in half. The second time that I dropped my camera was off of the roof of a car onto the cement. As a matter of fact, the 24 to 70 G Master that was attached to the camera was completely totaled. But the Sony A7 III actually held up and I still use it today to shoot weddings. So as far as the specs are concerned, it is a 24 megapixel camera. It shoots 10 frames per second in stills mode. It comes with a micro HDMI, USB-C. It comes with 2 card slots for redundancy recording. It has a tilt out screen, not a flip out screen. It's got 4K, 24 and 30 frames a second. It's got multiple picture profiles, especially Cine and HLG profiles. And it also shoots an 8-bit color 420 codecs. I found in the past that the S-Log2 and 3 are pretty much unusable when you're using 8-bit color like the Sony A7 III. Now, 3 years ago, the Sony I autofocus was incredible. And even to today's standards, this camera, the Sony A7 III, still holds up. It is incredible. This camera is the jack of all trades, but the master of none. I have shot multiple weddings on this camera. I've dropped it, I've shot events, portraits, I've done videos, I've done promo videos, corporate videos, YouTube. I've done everything with this camera. That's why I say it is the jack of all trades. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of the Sony A7 III. So some of the pros are that this camera is great at photos. The battery life, these new Sony Z batteries are really great. Holds a lot of juice. And honestly, for a wedding day, if you're doing just photos, 2 batteries is honestly gonna get you through a day of shooting per camera. The files are easy to work with. Sony has this compressed RAW, so I shoot in compressed RAW. I don't do uncompressed RAW. And on a 128 gigabyte card, I usually get about 5,000 photos. And honestly, the autofocus again really speeds up your workflow. It's super easy to expose the picture profile like Cine 4 and HLG. The files again are really easy to work with. They only goes up to 100 megabytes per second. So again, the file sizes when you're shooting video are really small. It doesn't really take up a lot of space. In both photo and video, I can shoot up to 10,000 ISO comfortably without worrying about a lot of noise artifacts in my photos or my video. Now, some of the cons on the Sony A7 III is the LCD and the flip screen. Very low resolution. It looks like garbage really. And I find that I always have to view my photos through the viewfinder, which isn't that much better in resolution, to be honest. The shutter life is not that great and the repairs are kind of expensive. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're buying it used. The recommended shutter life is 150,000 exposures. Sony has made a lot of strides in their color science department in the past couple of years. And especially now that they shoot 10-bit, a lot of the newer cameras, color grading shouldn't be an issue anymore. Again, it's really hard to adjust a lot of your colors and do a lot of heavy grading because the image does fall apart fairly quickly, even in Cine and HLG profiles. So my final thoughts on the camera. The Sony A7 III is an excellent choice. You can buy it for $1,000 to $1,500 on eBay. I'm sure your local Craigslist will have it around that same price as well. Now, if you have the budget and you're gonna start spending a little bit more money, $2,000 to $3,000, which is what I'm guessing the new Sony A7 IV is gonna come out at, I would wait a little bit till the fall or even 2022 if you're not in a rush. Because I have a really good feeling about the Sony A7 IV, that it's gonna be again like in the middle ground now between the A7R4 and the Sony A7S III. And so right now I'm gonna buy a used Sony A7 III to get me through the rest of this wedding season. Hopefully in 2022, there's already a Sony A7 IV that we can purchase, so I can have the Sony A7 IV now as my main camera and the Sony A7 III as my backup camera. Anyways, guys, if you liked the video, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.